Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Kenzie's Krimes.
Milwaukee police found body parts in a North Side apartment.
Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
This is evil, what those people have done to me.
C says Heaven's Gate awaiting.
I'm not guilty.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 with another edition of Kenzie's Krimes, a deep dive into a local murder mystery crime drama. And myself and Case do not know what Kenzie's about to talk about, as does you. So, Kenzie, we're going to sit back and you tell us a story.
All right, let's get right into it. So Sylvia Likens came from a larger poor family in the southern Indiana, Boone County area, just northwest of Indianapolis. So her father, Lester Likens, only had up to an 8th grade education. And because of this, he worked many, odd jobs trying to support his family. So he had like a laundry route. He worked at different factories. He even owned a small restaurant at one point, which ended up being unsuccessful. And in the summer of 1965, he had started working at fairs with carnies. And he needed travel, obviously, to do that. And he was selling food from a concession cart. Now, his wife, Betty, decided to join him. They needed money. So because of their work schedule, they needed someone to watch their children. Diana was their oldest child. Now, she was grown up and married, so, that one was taken care of. Then their two sons, Danny and Benny, went with their grandparents. The grandparents had the boys, so they had 2 girls left to take care of, Sylvia and Jenny. Jenny was apparently really shy and insecure due to having a limp because of childhood polio. Wow. And Sylvia was the more confident, bubbly one of the 2 girls. Her nickname was actually Cookie. She was just all adorable. And she did smile a lot, but she always kept her mouth closed in photos when she smiled because she had a missing front tooth that she was a little insecure about. So mutual friends introduced the Likens to Gertrude. Gertrude lived in a big rental house, and the Likens thought it would be good to board Sylvia and Jenny there while they worked. It would cost $20 a week, and Gertrude was already caring for 7 of her own children. It was a full house. No, her oldest was 17, and her youngest was 18 months old. So this was a full house. So from the beginning, Gertrude's oldest was 17-year-old Paula, and she clashed with Sylvia. She did not like her from the jump. Now, despite that little bit of tension, the young girls, not getting along, the boarding was going fine. Except one week when a $20 check arrived late. Remember that it was the cost of boarding. Gertrude was so angry, she beat the girls. Gertrude, for some reason, seemed to enjoy the beating. It unlocked this evilness in her. And the levels of abuse and even torture continued to escalate. As time went on, she had her own children and even children in the neighborhood join in on the beatings.
Yuck.
Now, with all these people being involved, no one ever reported it. This is one of the most twisted things I ever read. Now, I'm going to pause right here because what happens to Sylvia is so shocking, and I have some details to get into, and this is the best time before we, start unveiling that, to pause.
All right, when we come back, the conclusion of Kenzie's Krimes this week in 3 minutes with Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
Brian and Kenzie
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 with the conclusion of Kenzie's Krimes, a local murder mystery drama. And Kenzie, you can catch us up real quick so people jumping in can understand where we're at.
Yeah, so Sylvia Likens, her parents were going to go work at fairs and sell food with the carnies and stuff like that. And while they were traveling, Jenny and Sylvia, they were sisters, were staying with Gertrude, and they were being paid board, right? So it was $20 a week that their parents were sending in. When a $20 check arrived late, Gertrude beat the girls, enjoyed it, and then it turned into torture towards Sylvia. So on October 26, 1965, police were called because Sylvia was dead. Officers found Sylvia Likens' corpse. The words, "I am a prostitute," were carved into her skin on her stomach. Gertrude told officers she was attacked by a gang of boys who randomly burst into the home. Not a great excuse.
Probably didn't hold up well with the cops.
We'll get there. So, however, upon examining Sylvia's body, it was apparent this was not a one-time attack. Gertrude was, thank God, found guilty of first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison. However, she was granted a retrial, which she was still found guilty, but was paroled in 1985. And she moved to Iowa. She changed her name to Nadine, and she ended up dying of lung cancer in June of 1990. And boy, do I hope that was the most painful cancer anyone's ever faced. She never owned up to the crimes against Sylvia. She simply said she didn't remember doing it.
Oh my God.
Which is insane. Now, remember her 17-year-old daughter, Paula. In 1966, she was convicted of second-degree murder. But in 1972, her conviction was overturned due to a technicality. And instead of dealing with another trial, like the technicality meant it would be a new trial, she pled guilty to voluntary manslaughter. She served time until released on parole in March of 1972. That's it.
What are they doing letting these people out?
I know. Just wait. She changed her name to Paula Pace. And we didn't hear from her again until about 2012 when she was found working in a school system in a small town in Iowa. She had 2 grown sons, but upon the discovery of her real identity, she was fired from that position.
That's good. That's
Thank
good.
God.
That's
Good Lord.
somebody did something right.
Now, Gertrude's son, John, served 2 years. He also changed his name and went by John Blake. He later had a religious awakening and was the only family member to show any kind of remorse. Not that it was enough, but still showed some towards his actions. He got married, had 3 kids, and was a minister and real estate agent.
Good Lord.
Stephanie was Gertrude's 15-year-old daughter. Now, her boyfriend, Coy, was an active participant in torture. He was convicted of manslaughter, but again, only served 2 years before being released. Richard Hobbs was a neighborhood kid involved in Sylvia's torture. He was convicted of manslaughter and served 2 years. However, he died of cancer at the age of 21, which I think to be a karmic, crazy tie-in. The Likens family was devastated when they found out about the news and truly never forgave themselves for aborting their children. What was really weird about this, again, is the amount of people who were aware of the situation, including her younger sister, Jenny, who was still able to go out of the house, out and about. And I do love to give PSAs whenever I can. And I think that this is one of those PSAs where adults aren't always right. If I'm standing in Jenny's shoes, maybe she's scared because this is an adult. This is like their caretaker. I hate to use that word, but that's who is supposed to be doing it. My son, who's 11, is at the age where, he goes over to his friends' houses a lot to do stuff. And I'm like, hey, buddy, you know what's weird and what's strange. And even though I want you to respect adults, adults aren't always right. So if anything seems weird, text me, call me, leave, adults aren't always right. And it's an important thing to share with your children, because I think the first beginning of these beatings, they were like, oh, we're in trouble. And then they escalated to a point where it was so out of hand, but they were never appropriate.
Kenzie's Krimes.
Milwaukee police found body parts in a north side apartment.
Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
This is evil, what those people have done to me.
See, says Heaven's Gate away team.
I'm not guilty.
Q101.